We are down to the final heat here in test number 6 for the women as we get closer to finding out who will advance to the 2023 No Bull CrossFit Games. I'm Sean Woodland with Chase Ingram. We got Mike Arsenault down on the competition floor. Women's test 6, it's right there in the middle. That is the crux of this test.
If we were naming tests, Sean, this one's called Minesweeper. We got 20 overhead squats at 125, 500-meter row, 3 handstand walk pirouettes, bringing in the alpaca seated legless rope climbs that we didn't get to see last year at the CrossFit Games, 20 strict chest to wall handstand push-ups, then work our way back up the list.
The top time came out of heat number 3. It was Samantha Pugh, who needed just 4 minutes to get through all the gymnastics elements and got across the finish line in 10 minutes, 46 seconds flat.
And here's the thing, there are some times out there you don't need to chase. And in the attempt to do that, you can actually lose what you would have done if you just paced yourself out. That 4-minute middle time frame is absolutely absurd how good that was. And sometimes, hey, I'm gonna let you get your win and I'm gonna play my own game.
10 women here in the final heat. Fisa Goffi in lane 2. She comes in 7th place overall. Still has some work to do, but on the right side of that cut line.
On the right side of these tests, she got through a big 2 days of heavy tests. And what she did last night in test number 4, that snatch event, was huge for Fisa Goffi.
And over in lane number 8, Alexis Raptis, 6th place overall with 382 points.
Hey, are we doing handstand push-ups? We're doing handstand push-ups, right? Well, we're going to talk about Alexis Raptis if he got handstand push-ups. Won the Echo Bike Challenge at the Games last year.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
The final heat is underway. Start with the 20 overhead squats at 125 pounds. There is Emma Lawson, the black top.
I'm curious, Emma Lawson has that elbow sleeve on. I've never seen that.
As a Masters athlete, I'm like, can I get one of those?
It's standard issue for you turn 35 years old and all of a sudden in the mail comes 1 elbow sleeve. Not 2, 1.
Well, Emma Carey's going to be first to the rower. Emma Carey, our overall leader coming into this test with 428 points, 6 points up on Amanda Barnhart. Now Emma Lawson is there. Raptis, Brandon, Barnhart, with Paige Powers, the rest of the field.
Let's see, Emma Carey doing her best Noel Olsen impression. Coming out hot. But that's what she does. Here's the thing, she can hang on. And she talked about it yesterday. It's just something, I was actually talking to Matt Torres before we got here this weekend. He's like, the thing I have to do with Emma Carey is just to sometimes put the brakes on, put the governor on, because she wants to charge headlong into it. She's fearless. She also has the ability to sustain those things. And she said it the other day, it's like, I'm not afraid to hurt, I'm not afraid to go hard. And when you have the ability to actually sustain that, that's a great combination in competition, maybe not training every day.
Let's go down to Mike Arsenault.
Just had a chance to talk to Josh Woolley, Emma Lawson's coach. You mentioned the elbow sleeve. She tweaked it a little bit on her 205 snatch in test number 4. So we'll see if that is a factor during the gymnastics portion of this test or also the final 20 overhead squats.
Definitely keeping an eye on that as Emma Lawson works her way closer to those 20 wall-facing handstand push-ups.
And the thing, when Mike, you're talking about the gymnastics portion, a big part of that I'm thinking of is those seated legless rope climbs. And because when you look at the elbow specifically, what is some of the biggest muscles you're using that is actually one of the smallest ones when it comes to the climb, and that's your actual bicep. And where that inserts in that elbow position, depending on how that got strained yesterday, could be the tougher movement of the gymnastics test we have in the middle.
Hands in the air now for both Emma Lawson and Emma Carey. Emma Carey is done.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we found
Right
out
to work on the
yesterday, she is
handstand
not
pirouettes.
afraid to suffer.
Here comes Emma Lawson. She'll be the second woman off along with Alexis
Some of the
Raptis.
athletes turn it away. Alexis Raptis up and inverted. Lawson, I believe, also on the move.
One more pirouette. Emma Carey.
And Fisa Gaffi and Amanda Barnhart are just getting off the row. Now for Fisa Gaffi, the middle part is where she's excited about. For Amanda Barnhart, quite the opposite. Barnhart being the middle part of your screen in the dark shorts about midway through. We're talking to her yesterday, it's like this is the survival event for Amanda Barnhart, where Fisa Gaffi is nearly the opposite.
Emma Carey right to work on her rope climbs. Emma Lawson right next to her as well. There's Alexis Raptis and Danielle Brandon.
Raptis is really doing some textbook legless climbs.
This is rep number 2 for Emma Carey on the left side of your screen.
Yeah, Carey, good climb, steady. Extending a little bit in the arm. You don't really want the elbow joint to open up past 90 degrees. It's just not a strong position to be in. If I talk to you, it's like, hey, what would you rather do, a bicep curl? Full extension to halfway or halfway to the shoulder? Look at Alexis Raptis on the right side of your screen. Look how close she keeps her elbows. She's climbing with her lats, not her biceps. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do a legless rope climb.
Emma Carey is on to the wall-facing handstand push-ups.
No rep and went back up. Whoa, what a baller move. Oh.
Danielle Brandon, meanwhile, is on to the handstand push-ups, along with Emma Lawson and Amanda Barnhart.
Danielle Brandon.
Pardon me, that's not Amanda Barnhart, that is Emma Carey.
Now let's see what Alexis Raptis does. Like I said, she won the Echo Press last year that had the wall-facing handstand push-ups debut at a deficit. Alexis Raptis being in the light blue left middle part of your screen.
Barnhart now making, I believe that's her second ascent up the rope, as Raptis.
Is that unbroken? Oh, getting water. We're getting water. Okay.
The two Emmas, Emma Lawson and Emma Carey. Lawson on the left, Carey on the right.
Now, one thing for Carey, if you look on the right side of your screen, look at where her head is hitting right between her hands, and that those elbows are flaring out. I was talking to Dave Durante the other day about the wall-facing handstand push-ups itself, and you want to keep your elbows in as tight as you can and not actually get your head between your hands. That is not a good position. Think about a strict press, Sean. If you put the hands directly over your heads, that's not a strong position to be in. You want the elbows in, bar in front, or even dumbbells in front to be in a strong base position to press from.
Well, Danielle Brandon is now taking the lead. She's back to the rope for the second time here as she got through her 20 wall-facing handstand push-ups. And Emma Lawson, right side of your screen, she's onto the rope climbs as well. Those are your top two. Here comes Alexis Raptis now on the left.
I'm curious about Raptis. So she had that no rep in these previous two. She went a couple hand lengths down and then back up. And the question there is like, is there going to be a lasting effect? Because to stop your momentum and to restart that mid-climb is absolutely insane.
Paige Powers is also on her second and final set of rope climbs. She's on the right side.
Paige Powers qualifying individually for the open division for the first time last year. Great performance at her semifinal along with Emma Lawson, but taking a win at Wodapalooza this year, and Paige Powers is riding some great momentum.
Well, Danielle Brandon, this won't be a problem for her. She's on the handstand pirouettes, most likely going to go unbroken here. Paige Powers is done as well. She has moved into second place. Emma Lawson is finished. Danielle Brandon to the rower. 10:46, that's the top time. Second and third place on the right side of your screen, Paige Powers and Emma Lawson. And now Alexis Raptis is on to her second and final handstand pirouettes.
Danielle Brandon is 12 seconds off the pace for Samantha Pugh, but the difference here is that Danielle Brandon being in the final heat and a couple other athletes much closer to her in this heat than Pugh was, is that if she can have a strong row and some quick squats, she may be able to take over that best time.
Paige Powers and Second place behind Brandon. Now Alexis Raptis is to the rower. But Emma Carey starting to fall off the lead pace here. She was out front quickly and slowed on those wall-facing handstand push-ups, and now looking to close out her rope climbs, and she will do it.
That's one of the things for Emma Carey. As I said, we saw her struggling a little bit on the wall-facing handstand push-ups, and just the cumulative total of that upper body pulling, upper body pressing. That's one of Emma Carey's, I would say, weaknesses when it comes to her overall skill set. Now, she has improved, but when you're going to the likes of, the Daniel Brandons and the Alexis Rapises in your own heat, it might not look as good as it could be.
Well, Emma Carey's getting called back to the line as Emma Lawson is through. Hands have to start behind those lines. And remember, something we haven't talked about is that you have to stay in your lane on these pirouettes. Your hands cannot touch those white lines on either side of the lane on the pirouettes. The Danielle Brandon's in her final 100 meters on the left side of your screen.
Appears to be the only one in the last 100 meters of this row.
Here comes Emma Carey to the rower. And Danielle Brandon is done, and she will have a little more than a minute to get her 20 overhead squats if she wants to take this test.
Sean, look at the left side of your screen. Amanda Barnhart is now got to the rower. She said, I'm just trying to survive, and she's sitting here in the top 6 in this heat.
She said this was just damage control for this test, and mission accomplished for her. Danielle Brandon almost done with her first set of 10. She has now 1 rep remaining. 10:46 from Samantha Pugh from heat 3.
As Xander Brandon's getting to the bar in the backside, Alexis Raptis and Paige Powers are getting to their first reps side by side.
Brandon's going to have a really good shot here of taking test number 6. Danielle Brandon is going to do it. Danielle Brandon energy here to take test 6 and wrap up 100 points. And now Paige Powers and Alexis Raptis are fighting for second place in the heat. Annika Greer looks like she's going to wrap up second place with her time.
One thing to look at here, Sean, Paige Powers' left elbow. It's a little bit blocked by her head, but she doesn't have a steady lockout there. You can see that arm shaking, reaching back a little bit, where Alexis Raptis on the right is just locked in tight. That's the fatigue buildup of the gymnastic skills we've had.
1 rep remaining for both Raptis and Powers. I think Raptis is going to get across the finish line first.
I believe Paige hung onto that bar. That was incredible.
It's going to be Raptis by 0.3 of a second.
I know Emma Lawson is behind your top finishers here, but she is ahead of Emma Carey. And if Lawson wants to get closer and closer to that first place position, she's got to keep chipping away points and taking it away from Emma Carey.
Lawson now with 2 reps remaining. Emma Carey right to work on her second set of 10. Lawson is done, and she is across.
Okay, so at minimum, Lawson's going to pick up 3 on Carey.
Lawson with a 6th place finish in the test.
3 on Barnhart.
And here comes Emma Carey. Amanda Barnhart getting to her second set of 10 overhead squats as Paige Semenza on the far right side of your screen is on her overhead squats.
Barnhart talking yesterday, just trying to survive here.
Last 4 reps.
You're getting a time underneath the 13-minute mark. That's not surviving, that's competing. Looks like Amanda Barnhart has shored up some holes this offseason. Amanda Barnhart looking very dangerous here at the North America East semifinal.
12:50.13 seconds as you see the standings here as Paige Semenza is one of those women who's hovering around the cut line. 282 points. And she'll certainly help her cause if she can get herself across the finish line inside the time cap. That should not be a problem. She only has 10 reps remaining here. Fisa Gaffi is back on the rower.
There's a couple athletes in here. Semenza being one of them. We're talking about the athletes on the outside looking in. Hey, Semenza's finishing up here, but Fisa Gaffi is still on the rower. Amanda Fisher hasn't got off the rope, and Caroline Stanley is still on the rope as well. So those are 3 athletes that are opening the door back up to our athletes trying to qualify.
So Paige Semenza will take 16th in the test, 13:46.45 seconds. Less than 2 minutes remaining for Fisa Gaffi through her first 10. So that's Amanda Fisher on the right side back in lane 1, who's just not able to get these rope climbs done.
And this is tough, is that if we think about, the question was, can Sydney Wells hang on to that qualifying position? Decent finish for Sydney Wells, but with Stanley and Fisher struggling, that is good news for Sydney Wells, is maybe not solidifying, but shoring up a better position going into the final event.
Fisa Gaffi will take 20th right now in the test. And I misspoke about Annika Greer. Greer's time will be the 3rd best. Samantha Pugh will take 2nd. But still for Annika Greer.
Oh, great for
That's
Annika
big.
Greer, yeah. 51 points out of a qualifying position, picking up a big chunk of points here.
94 for Annika Greer. So take a look at Danielle Brandon, who's going to get 100 for the test win.
And Sean, if you get a 20th place finish with this scoring system, you get 50 points. Only 50 points.
Caroline Stanley on the right and Amanda Fisher on the left, just trying to get in a good rep here.
We have less than 30 seconds to go.
We can see as Sydney Wells had 280 points in that 11th place position. Wozni is at 274. She fell off the pace a little bit. Prevost had a decent finish. Chefs had a good finish. Neal, Greer, and we're gonna have a pretty tight race potentially coming into that final event, which nobody wants to see, except everybody. Except maybe 3 people on the cut line, that will say that.
Danielle Brandon will take test 6 with a time of 10 minutes 41 seconds.
Danielle Brandon crushing these legless. So I like to see that little hybrid, hand over hand, switch to the kip or the Michelli. If anybody of those OGs remember back in the day from 2013. Of course, we're getting inverted. Danielle Brandon, great overhead position, and for her 6th semi-final victory in her short career.
As she is with Mike Arsenault.